Okay, no problem. Well, there's quite a bit that I want to get through because there's obviously it's a massive subject, and I'm hoping that there'll be a little bit of debate, a little bit of conversation from you guys along the way. So we'll kind of dive straight in. So obviously the topic today is stress management. As some of you may know, this week is Mental Health Awareness Week, and the topic is anxiety. So kind of anxiety and stress kind of go, unfortunately, hand in hand. If you've got one, you're more than likely to get the other. And if you've got the other, you're more than likely to get the other one. So I guess the probably the main thing to start off with is, what is stress? What does it look like? What does it feel like? How do we deal with it? How do we recognize it? Can anybody give me a definition of what their idea of stress, when I said to you, are you stressed? What would that mean to you? Does anybody want to share? Now you've all gone on mute.
I would say it's not able to think clearly. You're so focused on the issue in hand that you can't think clearly about anything else.
Yeah. So that's exactly one definition of it. If I told you what the actual definition of it is what we call the fight or flight response. So it's when stress is on the body, and it is basically perceived as a threat. So the body basically goes into two modes. It either fights or it goes into the flight mode. And what happens is the body releases hormones to arouse the body into action. So it basically floods it with hormones and it says, right, you need to take some action now, whether that's this action or this action. You need to do something. And what that looks like is, I'm just going to share this with you, because if you've been to one of my presentations before when we've talked about, stress or anxiety or anything like that, you'll have seen this diagram. And it is a really good diagram which describes, what stress is and what pressure is and the two differences between them. So I'm just going to share this with you if I can find my share button. So I'm hoping you can see that hump diagram. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. So this is basically our stress levels. So you've obviously got the green, which is obviously a little bit of stress. You're not too overloaded, quite laid back in life, which I'm presuming that is where you all are right now. Yeah, laid back, chilled, no stress. And then we go into the orange level. Now, the orange level is what we call the pressure level. So it's when you've got a project or when you've got, something new to do, something exciting to do, and you've got pressure and you've got a little bit of stress, but it's enough just to energize you and help you stay focused and alert you so that you reach those goals. So that is the kind of good pressure that we want to be in. And then we move on to the not so good pressure, where it takes us outside of our comfort zone and it can stop us from being helpful. It can stop us from being energized. And it just basically is too much and it overloads us. And then that's kind of where we go into the panic attack, the anxiety, and obviously the breakdown of burnout and dealing with an immense amount of stress. So that is a really good diagram to kind of, if you can print that out and you can have that with you and identify, right, where I am at this exact moment, which level am I in? What do I need to do to pull myself back? It is a really good visual to have, especially in the office as well. If you've got people within your office, is to just have that around so that people are aware as to which stress level they are in. Now, it's not always easy to kind of identify which bit of that area you are in, which is where we come along with some of the, ways to kind of identify it, which I'll go on to a little bit more in a bit. So that's what stress is and what the difference is between pressure and stress. So pressure is obviously the good section, the bit that pushes us to do things. And then obviously when we move into the stress section, that is when it can be pressure. And if we don't take action, that's when we can have physical and mental and emotional problems if we let it get too far. Now, I have got some slides, but I'm conscious that I don't want to kind of just overload you with lots and lots of slides and lots of information. But I am going to share them a little bit further on just so that you can see the information that there is to take in. So stress can look different to all of us. What might be stressful to me may not be stressful to Holly, may not be stressful to Alan. It completely depends on the individual and how they, control the stress, how they deal with the stress, and how they are as an individual as well. For instance, I might get stressed if I've got the the kids at home shouting at me saying, I need you to do this, I need you to do this, whereas Tracy might not get stressed by that. Tracy might go, you know what, it's fine, I can deal with it. But it's how we deal with that stress and what kind of symptoms we're looking for before we hit that point. So if we look at kind of the different areas of how we can get stressed, they are kind of categorized into 4 little bits, which are, it can be a specific issue. So for instance, selling our house, a bereavement, a new job, it can be anything like that. And then there's the minor issues, things like oversleeping, not being able to find your keys, the little bits that niggle at us that we think, oh, no, I can't, where's this or where's that? You can't find your phone, those little things. And then there's the major issues like illnesses, moving house, the bigger things that we look at in life, which obviously there's lots of things that we can put in each of those categories. And then there's a combination of factors. So it can be things like relationships with people, relationships with family, with kids, with friends, lots of different things. Or it can be an amalgamation of all of those things. You can be going through every single one of those things, which can be stressing you out. So we've already identified that, a little bit of pressure is good. It helps us to achieve deadlines. It helps we take things in our stride when we've got that pressure. And it helps us sometimes to come up with a solution better than we normally would if we're not under any pressure. So we're going to talk about the 5 stages of stress to begin with. And those are 1, which is recognizing it. So recognizing that you have got stressful symptoms, which I'm going to give you a list of symptoms that you can have a look over. It may be that you think you've got a symptom off of each one of these different sections, which is perfectly fine. Don't panic. That doesn't mean you are overloaded with stress, because they are symptoms that come with other illnesses as well. It's when they start kind of mounting up that we think that you're going to, you may be going down that route of being really stressed. The second one is acknowledgement. So a lot of us, go through life with lots of stress, lots of things happening, and then the next thing happens, and the next thing happens, and it literally just all builds up. If we don't stop and reflect and acknowledge that we are getting stressed, then it can get to boiling point, and it can mean that we react differently to things than we normally would have done. So it's really important to acknowledge that we are stressed. The third one is identifying the cause of the stress. So there's 2 things that could be causing stress. One is the root cause of it, and then the second one is just the cause of it. So it can be that, you think that being late for work is the stress, when actually something that happened that morning could be the root cause of that stress. It could be an argument with a spouse. It could be an argument with a child. It could be that you don't have the right, you're not able to get into the office because your car's broke down or something like that. So it's really important that we take a look back and actually identify what that root cause of the stress is. Now, obviously, I'm just giving you kind of, little issues here. There are bigger issues, which we'll go into a bit more in depth, but I'm just giving you, the brief overview of this. The next one is taking action to address the stress. The next one is taking interim steps to relieve the stress. And then the last one is ongoing stress management. So we're going to look at each of these individually. So the first one is obviously recognizing the stress. And this is where I'm going to kind of share my slides with you so that you can still see. Still left my slide sharing, haven't I? While I've been flicking through, although nobody told me that I was still sharing my screen as I was flicking through those slides. Okay, so if we look at the 4 sections then, so recognizing stress symptoms. So number 1 is the physical. And I do have lots of different bits around these, so they're in the next slide. So I'm just going to go for the top level to begin with. The second one is the emotional. The third one is the behavioral. And then the 4th one is the cognitive. So if we look at these and break them down. So the physical signs of stress, I'm not going to read them out, but these are all the signs that come from a physical point of view when you are stressed. So hands up, does anybody have any of those signs at the moment? Okay. So then the next one, cognitive. Now, I definitely have memory problems. Don't know whether that's a stressful thing or just a me thing. So loss of interest, forgetfulness, constant worry, inability to concentrate, negative self-esteem, sinking mood, disregarding the positive, and lack of meaning of life. Anybody have those? Any of those? Yeah, okie doke. So then emotional. Now, this is the one where it kind of gets a bit tricky, because at some point during the day, I think we're all kind of angry, we're all maybe anxious, we're all feeling overwhelmed. So there's lots of symptoms there that aren't necessarily that you are stressed. It can just be that they are overlapping with, you know, something else that's happening in life. So jumbled thoughts, lonely or isolation, depression, agitation. Anybody got any of those?
I was just going to say as well, it's sometimes like you can have symptoms of stress on a kind of short-term basis, but it's when they start happening more regularly that you start thinking, maybe I should be a bit concerned about this.
Yeah. So the definition of actually having stress is when it becomes a problem in life that you can't deal with, something such as being in the community or going through daily life. Stress on its own can be something that you deal with within an hour, something that you deal with in the morning, and then in the afternoon you're fine. When it becomes a problem, is, as Holly says, is when it's something that is constant. Something, you know, that you are 3 weeks down the line and you're still having all of these symptoms. But the thing to identify for both of these is, no matter which it is, having that good stress management system in place means that you're able to look at that when you do get stressed and then go, right, I know that I'm stressed. This is the reason that I'm stressed. And this is what I've put in place to relieve that stress. So then the last one, which is behavioural. So withdrawal, tearful, unable to concentrate, unable to sleep. Anybody got any of those ones? Yeah, excellent. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so you will see the blue square in the bottom of this presentation. So one thing I am going to share with you is I have put together a document for you to go through. Now, the document, you don't have to do it now. You can do if you want to, but I'm going to share it with you in the chat. And it is, I can get my chat box up. I'm going to stop sharing that for a second. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is a document that I've put together. So if you can see that in the chat box, it's a document that I've put together, and it kind of goes through the first page. If you want to open that up, and I'll just talk you through it. So the first page is just a little bit of information about, you know, stress and where it comes from and what the causes of stress can be. The second page is literally what we have just been through. So those 4 sections and those 4 symptoms of stress. And what it's going to ask you to do is to go away, or to just now write down out of those 4 areas which symptoms you are having. Like I say, it's entirely up to you whether you want to just jot that down now or whether you want to do that as an exercise later. Now, the third page is what are the causes of stress in both life and work? Now, I'm going to talk to you about this one a little bit. So we've obviously talked about acknowledging that you are stressed. You know, you guys raised your hands there and I raised my hand there. And it's only once we have acknowledged that we may be getting stressed, can we start to understand what the causes are, and can we start to look at the different areas in our life, what might be causing us stress. Now, those areas that have been identified that can cause us stress are not having a life purpose, or not knowing what that life purpose is, not planning for that life purpose and not taking action to move that forward. So that's the first one. The second one is how you manage your time. Now, I know that a lot of people on here have issues with, you know, not having enough time during the day, not being able to get done everything that they want to get done, not being as productive as they'd want to. So I know for most of you on here, that is going to be one of the major ones that we can kind of look at. The third one is how you think. So how you think influences how you feel and how you behave, how you manage your mind, how positive you are, how consistent you are with your thinking. That can have a major impact on your stress in your life. So that's another area that we're going to look at. Your approach. So your approach to life, your approach to circumstances, your approach to changes, they all have they can all have a cause on our stress. The next one is your view on life. Now, some of you did raise your hands, when we talked about things like not finding the positive in things, finding the negative in things. I can't remember what a few of the others were, but we can have a look at those on the first page when you think about that area. How you react to change and how you deal with change as well is a big area. How you deal with issues, how you approach things. Do you compromise? Do you listen to people? Are you honest and are you open? There's lots of different areas that we can look at when we talk about, and that third page, there's a whole list of areas that you can look at. So again, one of the things that you can do from today is look at each of those areas and just work out in each of those areas, what specifically is it that is causing you stress? So if we look at life purpose, goals, planning, and taking action, are you a person that takes action? Are you a person that knows what your goals are, what your purpose is in life? Now, I know that is quite general in terms of, what your purpose is in life. There is a really good goal setting and values workshop on System Builder that you can do that could help with that if you are still unsure, of what it is that you want out of life. How you manage your time. So when we think about that one, do you structure your day? Do you write a to-do list at the beginning of the day? And when I mean to-do list, I do mean, things both work and personal. So when we're looking at these areas, make sure you're looking at both of them. Have you got a goal and a vision for your business? And have you got a goal and a vision for your work life, for your home life as well? Sorry. How you think at work, is that different to how you think at home? Now, I know with some of you I previously spoke about this. I'm a completely different person at work as I am at home. I can be very assertive at work and make decisions at the drop of a hat. At home, I can be completely different. So just thinking about how you deal with that as well. Your approach to work and your approach to life, communication and relationships, money and finances, life changes and events, work, looking after yourself, balancing your life. And then there is also a box for, others and dealing with things on your own, because there's always things that, other people find more important than everybody else. So a great thing to do is to go through each of those sections and just write down what it is that's causing you stress. And then what you can do is you can see on the next one, there's a little chart that says 13. So what you can then do is rank those. So what is the most important area that you want to take the stress away from? When you write that list, think about, if you changed one thing on that list, which would be the biggest thing that relieves the amount of stress that you're under right now? Would it be work? Would it be money and finances? Would it be the way you approach things? Would it be how you manage your time? Just put a number at the side of that. And then the third thing to do is to write down what action you are going to take. So let's say, for instance, money and finances is one of the big issues that you want to deal with, and you've ranked that kind of at a number one. What action can you take? So from a business point of view, you can look at what the outgoings are in your business. What's going out, what's coming in, what needs to go out and what needs to come in. So for instance, if you've got debtor issues, putting debtor processes in place to make sure that that money is coming in. Are you charging for everything that you need to be charging for? If not, getting those extra work orders out and making sure that you're charging for all your services. From a personal point of view, so thinking about life in terms of money and finances, do you budget? Have you got a plan of what comes out of your bank account in terms of bills, holidays, shopping, that kind of stuff, making sure that you've got a list of all the finances that are due to come out. What's left over? Do you need to employ somebody else to come and help you in terms of the work that you're doing? Do you need to get rid of people? Thinking about all these areas and what actions you can take that can relieve some of that stress. Have you got an employer that's causing you issues? What action do you need to take? Because it's only when we start to write down what the cause of the stress is and also write down what action we're going to take because that is your commitment to yourself saying, right, this is what I know is causing me stress. This is what I know is causing me the most stress. How am I going to deal with it? Because if you don't do that, you're never going to deal with that stress that's in your life. If you don't physically think about it and write it down and plan an action, it's never going to change. And that stress is always going to be there, and it's always going to be causing you problems. Another thing to think about when you are thinking about these root causes is the big changes that have happened in life. If something has just started to cause you stress all of a sudden, what is it that's caused that stress? Is it a change in the life circumstances? So has somebody new come into your life, or has somebody new left your life? What are the internal or external factors? Has something happened in the home? Has something happened outside the home? Understanding why you are getting stressed and when you started to get stressed can help you to find that root cause as well. And what specifically is it that's causing you that stress? Think about, when do you get stressed? Is it first thing in the morning? Is it last thing at night? Is it when you get into the office? Is it the commute that's causing you the stress? Is it when you sit down at your desk that's causing you the stress? It may be that your business is causing you that stress. And I'm just trying to figure out how many times I've said the word stress in the last 30 seconds. So thinking about all those things and those examples that can cause you to have those symptoms, and making sure that you identify what they are. Now, the biggest thing is taking action, which I know a lot of people do struggle with. And the thing that you have to remember is it's not going to be solved overnight. It can take time. But the most important thing is that you start to take action. You put that action plan together and you start to make those changes. It may be that you just take small actions. So you might not feel comfortable starting with that action that you've put at number 1. It may be that you want to work the opposite way and you want to start with the lowest thing. So although that's the least important to you, you feel like that is the quick win for you. So taking small actions. The second thing is seeking outside help. So if you are struggling with stress and you've got your action plan and you're not sure where to start, or you're not sure if you should start, having a conversation with somebody. There's always people around that you can talk to, a family member, a colleague, or a professional. At AVN, we do offer wellness calls. So it may be that, you've got a specific PGE and you don't really feel comfortable speaking to them in terms of wellness or in terms of stress or in terms of something else. There is a link that I'm going to share with you at the end of this call that you can just book a wellness call with. If you want to sit and cry, you can sit and cry for an hour. If you want to just talk about a specific subject, then you can talk about a specific subject. There is always somebody to sit and listen and talk to about how to take that action and how to take that next step. So when we talk about taking action, it may be that I'm going to go back to the hours, working longer hours. That is the thing that's stressing you out at the moment. And that is the thing that we need to put an action plan together. So the kind of things that we would talk about doing are doing what we call the What I Actually Do diary. Now, some of you will know that I've mentioned this before. So the What I Actually Do diary is a sheet that you fill in. So everything you do in a day, you would put into that document, and then you would have a look at it and you would say, right, is this something, one, that I need to do in terms of your business? Is it something that gets me to where I need to be as a business? Or is it something that I can delegate? And just by going through and doing that in a day or in a week, you can identify things that, one, you no longer need to do, and 2, that you can maybe delegate on to somebody else. Cutting down the commute. Do you need to be in the office? Is it that commute that's causing you the stress? Are the team working to full capacity? So have you got people around you that are as dedicated as you and putting in the time and the effort that you need in your business to help you get to where you need to be? The next one is automation. What is it that you can automate so that you don't have to do it? So when we think about things like that, email responses, automatic emails that go out, automatic letters that go out, what can you automate in your business that is going to save you time? And then the last one is, what can you systemize? What can you systemize in your business so that either you don't have to do it, or that is simpler to do when you do have to do it? Now, I know, especially if you're working in a business on your own, systems maybe don't seem as important. When I have a call with a member I have a system afterwards that is literally just 5 tick boxes, and it just reminds me of everything that I need to do. And what that does for me is, 1, it reminds me of the things that I need to do, but 2, it gives me an action plan. So I know as soon as I come off a call with a member, I've got that, and that to do. And I literally tick it off as I do it. And I'm like, right, that's it. I'm done, move on to the next one. So systems focus you as well. So even if you think that they may not be beneficial because there's nobody else to do them, even if you have them as a person, they're going to help you to get through a task quicker. Now, taking action in that area might have a knock-on effect. It might be that it allows you to see that, do you know what, that's actually not the issue. This is the issue. So you may need to then go and do the exact same task for another area of your life because that stress hasn't gone. So it's really important that you take action on the things that are causing you stress in your life, because if you leave them, that stress is never going to go away and it's just going to keep causing you problems. Does this make sense so far? I'm conscious that I'm talking a lot. You guys are very quiet. Okay. So it might be that you need to take some kind of interim steps in terms of being able to find the root cause of the stress. So things like exercising, relaxation, taking a break, connecting with other people, and talking to other people. So these are just a few things that you can do that can try and relieve some of that stress if you're not in a position where you need to deal with it. So getting out and exercising, going for a walk, going for a swim, getting some fresh air, relaxing, listening to music, having a bath, reading a book, meditating, and yoga. So just taking yourself out of the situation, taking yourself out of the stress for 10, 15 minutes, however long, to have a coffee or have a lunch break, you know, book a holiday, book a weekend away, whatever it is that's going to be able to give you some time to just have a break and come back refreshed and to be able to deal with that root cause of your stress. Whatever it is that you need to do, make sure that you put in those steps in place so that you've got them. It may not be that you can do them straight away, so plan them in for next week or the week after. But the most important thing is actually taking the action to plan them and to do those interim steps. So the last one is to build your ongoing stress management system. So what I mean by that is having an idea of where that pressure is coming from, prioritizing that pressure, and then adding those steps in to take action. Now, the last sheet on that document that I have provided you with is what you're going to do differently. So if you identify something, say, for instance, your view on life, you identify that, you know, you're quite down in this particular area. What can you do differently to change that? And that is completely an individual thing. So it might be what works for Alan doesn't work for Tracy. It might be that Alan decides that, you know, to change my view on life, I need to get outside more, have more nature. Whereas for Tracy, it might be that she needs to have more time on her own, not with people, just to chill and clear her mind. So it's about the individual. It's not a one size fits all. So making sure that you add in there what it is that you're going to do differently to change those stresses. Now I'm going to give you some examples of the different areas. So when we think about the first one, which was life purpose, goals, planning and taking action. So a few examples are to understand what you need to do to achieve your goals and objectives. And what I mean by that is working backwards. So I think it was a few weeks ago, we did a webinar where we talked about, you know, what is your specific goal that you want to achieve in life, and working all the way back to make it a tiny weekly or monthly target. Having a realistic plan. Now, I'm not saying don't reach for the moon, please reach for the moon, but having a plan of how you're going to get there. Reviewing your progress. One thing a lot of people do is set goals for a year's time and then never go back and review them and never go back and track what they've done to achieve that goal. It will just be, in a year's time, this is what I'm going to achieve. So making sure that you stay focused on what you want to achieve and taking control of those goals. The second one was managing your time. So things like diary management, to-do lists, aligning tasks with your body clock. Now, this is a one that we talk about in the office quite a lot. Shane used to be a early bird, so he used to be online at kind of 5, 6 in the morning, sending us all emails. Whereas Jenny is completely the opposite. She is a 9 o'clock at night person that will email you. So making sure that if, you're most productive at a specific time of the day, having that as your task time, figuring it out when you're most productive. Me, I'm an afternoon person. Morning wise, I'm more of a soak up everything that's coming in and all the information that I'm kind of that's around me. Whereas in the afternoon, I'm kind of a right, these are the tasks that I need to do, and these are the tasks that I need to achieve. Have set times for checking your inbox, putting an out of office reply on so that your clients and your team know when you're going to be checking those emails. Changing your environment. Now, this is a big one. So in order to not be stressed, one of the things that I found is if I work from the office, me and Holly are 100% not focused on what we're going to do. We spend at least an hour and a half talking about what happened yesterday or what's annoyed us this week or no, only joking. We are very productive. But thinking about the environment that you're in, if you're going to sit on the sofa and have your laptop in front of you, how productive are you actually going to be? Having, that area, that office around you, where you are focused, where you are going to be most productive, whether that's having a view of outside so you can see the sunshine. Now, I love my desk where it is because I constantly get to look out this window. However, when I'm on a Zoom call, I have to have that blind shut, which is really annoying. So thinking about, the things that you have got around you, what's going to motivate you? Do you need posters around you? Do you need motivational quotes? Do you need to be away from everybody, or do you need to be around the hustle bustle of a team? Or if you go to a coffee shop, is that where you're going to be more productive? So thinking about where you're going to be least stressed to work. This is a controversial one, I know it is, but learning to say no. Your time is your time. If there's something that you are asked to do that isn't going to be in line with your goals or going to get you to where you need to be, you can say no, even to clients. I know I'm going to get some looks from that one. Your clients don't run your schedule. It is the complete opposite. So if a client is asking you to do something, make sure that you are giving them the deadline that they're going to get it and charging them correctly. Don't let them run your life. Now, obviously, there are times when you have to say yes for obvious reasons, but not on a regular basis, not to the point where you literally drop everything when they send you an email or when they ring you. So thinking about how you think, thinking about the bigger picture, the long-term goal, and considering how you think. Are you an all or nothing person? Are you someone that predicts future events in a negative way? Do you always assume that you know how people are thinking? Do you jump to conclusions? Do you overgeneralize? Think about how you think about things. Now, I know this is a difficult one to kind of changes your mindset, but thinking about ways to improve your mindset. Do you need to read motivational books? Do you need to watch TEDx videos every week to kind of get you into that mindset of, forward thinking? What is it that you need to implement if you need to change your mindset, that is to change your mindset into the person that you want to be? What is it that's going to influence you? Thinking about all those different things. One of the things that I did at the beginning of this year, which I've got out of the habit of doing, I know I've slapped my wrists, is watching a TEDx video every Monday morning. That was the first thing that I did. While I was just checking my emails, I had a TEDx video on in the back. And it became a really good habit because I'd watch a TEDx video and then I'd send it to the team. And then we'd start having kind of a conversation as to what that TEDx talk was about and how we could share it with members and how we could motivate members. And just having little processes like that in place can change your mindset for the whole week. So thinking about what things you can implement. Are you a positive person or are you a negative person? Which one do you want to be? And do you need to change anything to be the opposite? Keeping things into perspective. Taking control of worries. Now, this is a difficult one sometimes because I know that we all worry about things, but a really good way to get out of worrying is meditation. So if you find yourself in a state of you're constantly just sat here going, I'm really worried about this, I'm really worried about that, either meditating or just taking 10 big deep breaths completely can snap you out of that worried state. So thinking about what things you can implement to do that. And setting aside time to do things like journaling, writing down your thoughts if you're not a journaler, talking to people. Think about what you can implement that can help you to change your mindset if you need to. And then thinking about your approach to things, taking responsibility, being assertive, learning from what's not gone well, keeping calm, being realistic. And again, these are just examples of things. You don't have to do all of them or be all of them. These are just things for you to think about when you're thinking about writing up your stress systems. Thinking about your view on life. Are you a person that can accept, what you can't control, or accept what's happened in the past? Are you a person that can expect the unexpected and deal with it? Are you someone that doesn't have to control everything, or do you have to control everything? And is that something that's giving you stress? Communication and relationships. So again, there's two ways to look at this. One is obviously your work life. So what are your relationships like with your team? What are your relationships like with your clients? And what are your relationships like with people at home? Do the two intertwine? If you get stressed at work, do you then carry that into the home life? What's your relationship life? Do you constantly talk about work at home? Just thinking about things, do you need to switch off as soon as you leave the office and be in a completely different mindset when you get home? If so, what steps do you need to implement to do that? I used to work with a lady who used to, I did a meditation course a few years ago when she was a school teacher, and she used to say to me, I really get stressed as soon as I finish work. I feel like I've got all that pent up anxiety from being with the kids all day and stress. So we put together a 5-minute meditation for her to literally just do as she sat in the car before she went in the house, and just having those 5 minutes to reset and refocus really made her home life completely different. So thinking about things that you can instigate that can help you to relieve that stress from work if you need to, and how you can make that communication, that relationship with people different. Same, with work life. Do you need to take a deep breath before you answer the phone? Do you need to get somebody else to answer the phone so that when that person comes through, you are in control of that conversation and you know what they're going to be asking you or who it is? Money and finance, I know we've obviously covered this a little bit already, but understanding your current financial position, identifying your financial goals and budgets, asking for help when's needed. There are lots of people within the company that you can talk to in terms of pricing or budgeting, or this is kind of what my balance sheet looks like. There's lots of different systems that you can have a look at to help with that as well. Life changes and events. Now, this is obviously a big one. So things like marriage, divorce, having babies, sometimes stuff that is out of your control. How do you deal with those? Think about, the perspective, trust your knowledge and experience and intuition. Sometimes we need to, if there is a big change that's happening, we just need to trust that it's going to be okay. And I know that might sound difficult to some people, me included. Work and your approach to work. So things like being focused, managing your mind and thinking positively, developing your knowledge and skills as a business owner. We talk about, doing the career development reviews with your team, thinking about you, what is it that you want to develop? What things do you want to learn? Because although it is your business, you need to develop and you need to make sure that your skills are up to where they need to be as a professional as well. And enjoying learning, enjoying getting to know new things and implementing those within your business. And then looking after yourself, and having that balance within life and within work. And I know that can be really difficult sometimes, especially if you're a new company that's starting out, or if you're a company that has lots of team members. What is it that you need to implement to make sure that you're looking after yourself and making sure that you've got that work-life balance right? And then the last thing to think about is help and support. So talking about your stress, building a support network, and asking for help and support from those around you. It is a really stressful subject, stress, funnily enough. And that's why, we do know that it is a stressful business that you can be in, especially running a business on your own or running your own accountancy firm or any kind of business. We understand that at AVN, and we want to give you as much support and as much information as we can to help you to put those processes in place so that it doesn't overcome who you are and what you want to be in the future. So I'm going to put this link into the chat box. So this is a link to a wellness call. So if at any point you feel like it's too much, stress is too much, or if your team feel like it's too much and they just want to have a chat, they can use that call as an AVN member and just book a call and just have a chat with somebody within the team. Now, I know that's quite a lot that I've gone through there. I'm hoping you've all made some notes. Has anybody got any questions, or would anybody like me to go over anything again? Oh.
That's a lot of good stuff there, Kerry. A lot to take in. I think my main problem is I might write down what action to take, but actually taking the action I find very difficult.
Yeah. So coach accountable, putting those actions that you want to take and coach accountable, and then speaking with your PG about them and making sure that we're implementing those strategies into daily life or into weekly life or whatever it is that we need to do to make sure that that stress is not getting on top of you. Yeah. I know it is difficult to physically, you can write, all the action plans that you want to and put all the systems down that you want to, but actually taking that action, that is the big step. Now, one of the things that I am known for talking about is adulting. And we all have to adult ourselves sometimes. We all have to say, right, this is what I know is good for me. I just have to do it. And I'm not going to use the acronym that I use for other people to just do it. But I'm sure you can know which one it is. Alan, sometimes we just have to say that, don't we? So yeah, I know it is. Trust me, I'm exactly the same. Sometimes I'll be sat there and I'll go, I really don't want to do that. I know it's good for me. I know it'd stop me being stressed, but I just can't be bothered. And then you have to think, but I have to, because otherwise it's not going to change. That stress isn't going to go away. I'm not going to feel better. I just need to do it. Has anyone else got any thoughts?
I was just going to say, it's like parenting yourself, isn't it? Like adulting, like you said. And often it's what you least feel like doing is the best thing you can do. Yep. So if you really don't want to talk to anybody and you don't want to go outside and you don't want to do any exercise, you just want to sit on the sofa scrolling through your phone or watching telly, just vegging out, that's going to make you feel worse. So the best thing to do is the thing that you really don't want to do, and just get out for a quick breath of fresh air, or make yourself make a list of what you need to do. Like I've just come back from holiday, so I've got lots of emails and things to deal with that have piled up while I've been on holiday. And so it took me all of yesterday just to sort out, like get to the bottom of reading all the emails. And now I'm at the stage where I'm trying to sort out which one to do first. So I just think, oh no, I don't know what to do. There's so many things, but just trying to pick out 3, maybe 4 each day things to do is the last thing I want to do. I just want to go back on holiday. But just saying, right, what needs to get done today and what can wait till a later date.
Yeah.
Even though there's hundreds of tasks screaming, I need to be done, I need to be done, you've kind of just got to go, right, I'm going to do these ones.
One of the things that we have a lot is we have Trello boards quite a lot. So we'll have a Trello board for our team meeting, and it will have all of our names in there and then all of our actions that we need to take. And all we do is go in there and pick 3, just 3, put them on our to-do list and then do them. Jenny is a bit of a bugger so we have this accountability group on Slack. So because majority of us work from home majority of the time, in the morning we'll go in and we'll say, right, these are the things that we're going to achieve today. So me and Holly will maybe have 5 or 6, Emma will maybe have 7, maybe 3 if she's got lots of PG calls. Jenny will have like 20 and we'll be like, Jenny, no, that's not going to happen, is it now? Let's just pick 3 and put 3 in there. And then if you do those 3, go for another 3. So yeah, it is trying to differentiate between, you know, this is what I actually need to do and this is what's on my list to do, making sure that you split it into the 2, what I've got to achieve today and what can wait, like Holly says. So yeah, Jenny will love me for telling that story. You can pick on her next time you have anybody goes into a team training with her. So yeah, so I would love it if you downloaded that document and just spent a bit of time just writing down the things that are stressing you, what actions you can take, and what things you're going to do differently. And just trying to identify, you know, what it is the main thing that is causing your stress if you are having stress right now. And cascade that down to your team as well. You know, that document is available for them to use as well. And that call link is available for them to use if you know that someone is, you know, dealing with stress within your businesses as well. So I hope that's been useful. Thank you for joining me, because I know that the people that are probably here are the ones that maybe are stressed, and taking time out to listen to someone talk about stress isn't always the greatest thing to do. So thank you very much for joining me. And we have got a technical training next Tuesday with Jenny, I think it is. But if you've got any questions or if you want to talk, then please use that call link to book in a call with us. And thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a great week.
Thanks,
I'll
Kerry.
make a list of 20 things for Jenny to do.
Yep, that's it, Alan.
No, because you'll try and do them all in one day. Yeah, but yeah, seriously, as part of your membership, you know, if you need to use that wellness call link to book a call, that's, you know, that's one of the reasons we're here, is to help you deal with kind of all your things that you've got to do and manage your stress. So yeah, take advantage of it.
Actually listen to what you've all been telling me.
Yes.
That's what I need to do. I need to actually act on it, because it's all good advice. It is good advice, and I think that form is quite good as well.
Good.
But I have to force myself to do it. Like Holly said, you have to sometimes do the things you least want to do.
Yeah.
Whereas I tend to just try and do the things which I think are, you know, as perhaps the easier things to do, things I think I'll achieve.
Yeah.
And at least I can maybe tick a few things off, but that's not necessarily the best use of time.
Yeah. I think the thing is taking it back to, you know, what's the thing that you want to achieve? What's the goal that you want to achieve, the big goal? And when you look at that list of things that you want to achieve, what's going to get you there? Not those little things that you're going to just be able to tick off. It may be the bigger things. So if that's the thing that's going to get you there, that's the thing to focus on.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you ever so much for joining us, and we shall see you again shortly.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thanks, bye.
Thank you.